So we're on page 27 of the little graphing booklet. We're looking at sketching reciprocal functions. So we're just going to step through, or you can read through that, that's in your booklet. But we're going to step through that with this example on page 27, y equals 1 on 4x minus x cubed. So first up, it says to sketch so our instructions say to sketch fx. So that means we're sketching just 4x minus x cubed. So have a look at the notes I've given you for extension 1 on asymptotes, and that gives you a menu for curve sketching, and you'd follow that through. So you'd think about the x-intercepts. So what are the zeros of this function? Well, when does this equal 0? So let's factorize, and oops, that's a squared there. And you'd quickly find that it's a difference of two squares, so there should be zeros at 2, -2, and 0. Now you can differentiate it and find the turning points, so 4 minus 3x squared. And when does that equal 0? So you can work that out. It's roughly at 1.15, so 2 on root 3, so plus minus 2 on root 3, and its value is about 3, and you can test those turning points. So it's going to be a function that looks, whoopsie, okay, doesn't look like that. So it's not just the whiteboard that doesn't like me. So we're going to sketch, well, missed the point, and something like that, but obviously much neater. Okay, so here's one I prepared earlier. So what about the reciprocal function? Well, first up, the zeros of fx are vertical asymptotes. So that means that in the zeros, so -2, 0, and 2 are vertical asymptotes. It also says if fx approaches plus or minus infinity, then 1 on fx approaches 0. Okay, so where's it approaching infinity? Well, it's approaching infinity as we go out here. So that means that down here it's approaching 0. So something like this. It's going to be some sort of... And you can imagine as it's coming down here, the value of y is getting very small, which means the inverse of it is getting very large. So ignore that line. This is better up there. And the same thing's going to happen on this side. So that is getting very large as we come down here, and as we go out here, this is getting very small. Okay, and again, don't go over the asymptotes, and trying to do something less clunky than what I'm doing it with. Okay, if fx equals plus or minus 1, then the reciprocal function is also there. So it must pass through this point and this point. Now the other thing we saw, I think just before we broke up for the end of term, was that maximum and minimum turning points are inverted. So instead of being a turning point here, it's a turning point down here. So we can sketch that in. And it should have gone through there, but it didn't. Okay, so that's roughly the graph, and here's what it actually looks like. So the black lines there, much neater than what I've done. You could test some more points, like you could test when x equals 1, what is this value? That would be worth testing, or at the turning point. Okay, so that's page 27.